Good morning. It is WKRK 11:05 our time, 57 degrees right now. This is WKRK 1320 AM, cable TV channel 25 and worldwide at country.am. On Monday mornings at 11:05, we welcome Sheriff Derek Palmer from the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office each and every Monday. And Sheriff, welcome back.
Good to be here.
How are things going over the Sheriff's Office?
Everything's going well. It's been, like last week, it's kind of wet.
Kind of wet?
Yeah.
I know that you said either last week or a week before that one of the reasons you look forward to the winter months is because there's less crime going on. Why is that?
I think it's just because of the coolness. When the temperatures cool down, people stay indoors more, don't get out and do, like they do in the summertime. Summertime, the daylight's longer, 9, 10 o'clock of the night. So in the wintertime, it gets dark, in the solstice, but the 21st, it's dark by about 5 o'clock of the evening. So, when it gets dark, people start going home, going to bed, and they're not out and about as much.
Do we still have a pretty seasonal population? A lot of folks come in here for the summer months or the warmer months?
We do. We still have a seasonal residency here, but it's picking up. We're getting more permanent residents in the county. I think the last census I looked at, we're at 27,400 people is what we have for the county. Mm-hmm. And I think that's maybe a little higher now than the last census we took. So I'd say we're getting up close to 30,000.
All right. And one of the press releases you guys from your office issued last week was about a break-in, several break-ins at seasonal homes. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Well, if you've been watching our press releases, we've arrested several people here recently for breaking and enterings and larcenies, and we've recovered a lot of property in the last couple of weeks. Our investigators, patrol officers have been working extremely hard, and they've been out recovering a lot of this property and tracking down leads and things of that nature. And it's important that people understand that when you leave and you're going to leave your home, whether it's going on a week-long vacation or whether it's for months, there's some security issues that you need to do with that. And one thing is to make sure that you have somebody that's kind of overseeing your home, looking at it. But if you don't have somebody here local that's helping you watch your home or watching the neighborhood, there's always security cameras, things of that nature you can purchase. You can go down here to Walmart or Lowe's or some of these places, and you can get reasonably cheap security cameras, and a lot of them interface with the internet now, so you can watch them from your iPhones or Droid phones, and even you don't have to physically be there to see them and see what's going on. So there's just a lot of safety precautions you can do, and also things such as lighting. I mean, just little things. Just make sure your home is well lit and bushes are trimmed away from the windows and those kind of things where you can see out when you're inside. And a lot of times when people are looking for homes to break into, they look for easy homes, easy targets, places that's kind of isolated by themselves where there's not close neighbors, and things that are dark and things where they can kind of hide in the shadows. So if things are well lit and neighbors are watching and it looks like people are there and been around recently and may come home any moment, a lot of times those are homes that these people kind of pass up and go to somewhere else to do their business at.
All right. Well, we have Veterans Day this week. Tell us a little bit about some activities and I guess what Veterans Day means to you.
Well, we do. We have Veterans Day this week, and Veterans Day has always been a special time for me. It seems like the older I get and the more we look at life, we look at the way things are changing in our world, things are changing around us and in our government, and just all the changes that's happening. We look back at where we come from, and we can't help but to think the veterans that served and those people who have defended our freedom and defended our way of life for over 200 years now, and has protected this country from tyranny and from terrorism and from all these other things that's happening. And so, we just want to have just a special time of thanking them and thanking these people for their service. And we still have people in this area that, that are World War II veterans, that not just World War II, but Korean War, Vietnam War, the recent wars, Iraqi wars, and Middle Eastern, and served in different theaters all over the world. And we just want to take some extra time to thank these people. And one of the things that we're doing is tomorrow, we have a volunteer at the Sheriff's Office. His name is Jack Rhodes. And Jack Rhodes was a World War II veteran, and he served in Iwo Jima. And so we're going to take tomorrow as a special time and just kind of thank him for his service and things that he's done since he's been back. Serving in the community around here and serving in the Sheriff's Office and volunteer work and things of that nature. And so at 2 o'clock tomorrow in the ballroom in Murphy, we're going to have a special celebration there for Jack, and a lot of the military people's going to be there at that celebration. A lot of friends, a lot of family, just different things, different time of appreciation, some food and some different stuff going on there. But we think it's important to take some of these people who has sacrificed and dedicated of their life and their time and their energy, and some were wounded and a lot of different things going on, in their lives. We just want to thank them for that, for sacrificing for us. So as Veterans Day comes up, remember that when you're out there and you're listening, if you know a veteran or you know someone who has served in the military, take some time to thank them and take some time and really mean what you say. It's easy to go to somebody and say thank you for your service, but the question is, do you really mean it? Do you really thank them for their service? And if you do really thank them and you do really appreciate them, make sure they understand that it's not empty words, that you really do appreciate it.
Right. It is hard for me to imagine that there are groups in America, some even going under the title of church,
Right.
which that protest the military, just disregarding the sacrifices that these men and women have made, and create protests against that. I can't wrap my head around that.
Well, I've been overseas in third world countries and have served mission trips and different things, and kind of seen the way people live in other places. And most of the time when you have people that do this protesting, that do these kind of things where they're against the military and against what we're doing, most of the time when you see these people, they've never been anywhere else and saw what's going on in and around the world.
Right.
And if they could be to some of these other places and see the famine and see the starvation and see the government and the tyranny, they would really appreciate more and more the United States of America, and they'd appreciate what they have here. I never will forget, and I shared this just a while back with some friends, I never will forget when I got back from a mission trip from Central Mexico, where people were literally starving to death and children running everywhere without parents because they were abandoned. When I got back home, literally when I opened my pantry door and looked in the pantry and saw all that food in there,
Right.
it brought me to tears. To think about that I can go to a home or go to my house and see all this food and complain that I have nothing to eat, and complain that there's nothing good there. Where there's people all over the world that would kill for what I have and kill for what I had in my pantry. It just really brings home of what things are around the world. And when you think about the men and women who have sacrificed to protect us, to keep it this way, and to keep us to a place of blessing and keep us to a place of plenty, you can't help but take a little special time and thank those people for that when you realize what's going on around the world.
Right. Very good point.
Yeah. We got some other things going on. Just change the gears just a little bit. One thing that I want to let people know along those lines of the celebration for Jack tomorrow and stuff, we're doing things a little bit different than the sheriff's office this year. Typically, what we do is the first Friday in December, we do a Christmas party at the sheriff's office. Now, historically, with this thing has always been on Friday. It's always been the first Friday in December. Over recent years, those Christmas parties have started dwindling more and more and less participation. And the reason being is because there's so many Christmas parties going on at the 1st of December. There's, like last year when we held ours last year, there was fire department Christmas parties going on. There were other governmental Christmas parties. There were office parties. There were family parties. So we decided to do things a little bit different this year. And what we're going to do this year is we're going to have an open house at the sheriff's office on the first Friday in December. Just to have it there at the sheriff's office, just to have some food and some desserts and things out there, and invite the public to come in. And so anybody that would like to come and visit with the sheriff, visit with the sheriff's office, just come on in. We're going to have an open door time where people can come in and just ask questions or just fellowship or just talk to the officers or whatever they would like to do. And we're going to invite everybody from government agencies and other Highway Patrol, TVA, the Forest Service, other people that's going to be there. And so we're going to invite people just kind of coming in and out throughout the day, just kind of a drop-in kind of thing. But what we're going to do is we're going to replace our typical Christmas party to the first or second week in January, and we'll announce the exact date later. We've not got an exact date set on it. But along with the 1st of January, we're going to do our first ever Officer Appreciation Ball.
All right.
And what we're going to do is in that first week of January, we're going to have a semi-formal event for the sheriff's office, and we're going to invite once again the community and community leaders to come to this, and it's going to be an officer awards night and appreciation night for our detention officers, our dispatchers, our deputies, our investigators, narcotics officers, all these people that are working very, very hard for the county. We want to have a time of celebration and thank them for their service and what they're doing. And what we're going to do is we're going to take about the top 4 or 5 officers that we recognize throughout the year that has done outstanding work and done things went above and beyond to help the public. We're going to do recognitions for them, and it's going to culminate at the end of the night with an Officer of the Year award of the most outstanding officer. So we want to do that for our guys and gals there at the sheriff's office, and we want to let them know how much we do appreciate them and how much we do appreciate the hard work that they're doing. So we're looking forward to that. We're putting that together right now. And like I say, we'll have more information out on that as the year ends up, so people can be
super. Well, whenever we get all the everything ironed out, make sure to get us and newspaper and other radio stations a flyer, and we'll make sure to promote that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And like I say, I think so many years, I know years that I worked as a deputy, that sometimes you only see the bad things that happen. You only deal with the bad folks in public a lot of times, especially when you're working night shift kind of officer, and your every call you get is kind of the domestic and the bad things, and so it's good to take some time just to let these guys and ladies that work at the sheriff's office know how much you do appreciate them and how much you do appreciate the hard work they do.
Yeah, I try to imagine things like, what if there was no law enforcement in our country at all? How would our citizens behave?
Right. I think we would be in a bad place right now. When you think about when this country was founded, and as bad as the Old West was and all these things that was happening back then, and all of the murders and crime and all the things that was going on, that was just a sparsely populated place. Could you imagine now, with as densely populated as we are, how out of control things could get as quick as it could get out of control? And, without law enforcement, sometimes law enforcement gets a bad rap, and sometimes people wants to fuss and complain about law enforcement officers and what they do. And as we talked about before, you see on TV a lot of times all the bad things that's happening in law enforcement around the country. But what they tend to neglect is, I had a statistic on this I mentioned before, but I think it's 5.7 million contacts that law enforcement does every day.
Wow.
And so when you think about all the contacts they have with people every day, and have 1 or 2 incidences a month, or one every couple months or something like that, those are pretty good statistics in favor of law enforcement. But people forget all the good things the officers do. So we want to try to bring some of that to the forefront.
Right. The good things usually don't make the news.
They don't. People don't want to tune into or buy the paper for the good stuff that's happening. It's the bad things and the sensational things sometimes that sells the article, that sells the report on TV or whatever it may be. And so that's kind of what everybody kind of focuses in on. But there's millions and millions and millions of contacts every day that law enforcement have with the public, that's good, positive contacts that tend to go unnoticed. And the one bad thing that happens is what comes to the forefront. So.
Right. I try to think about law enforcement as just officers who maintain peace.
Right.
And I try to equate that to, a lot of people do resent having rules and structure, but if we didn't have any traffic lights like at the McDonald's intersection, when that thing goes out, you know what kind of chaos.
It is.
I mean, really, people need some kind of direction or some kind of system to follow and some kind of rules.
Right.
And I remember when I was 16 thinking, wow, we are really to a point where we have to obey a machine, a light to tell us what to do.
Right.
But without that light there, then there would be chaos.
Yeah, and I think naturally as people, we want guidance, we want rules. Sometimes we say we don't. We say that we want to be free to make our own choices and our own decisions, and there is truth in that. We do live in a land of freedom. But even within that freedom, there still has to be guideline and structure. When I was pastoring a church, it was one of the things we used to talk about all the time with the church. You have these people that kind of wants to go, and I'm not saying anything good or bad about them. It's just, the way it is. Some people go with like an interdenominational or non-denominational church, and some of those work, and some of those work very well. I've always been the kind of person that believed that you've got to have some kind of basic structure of what you believe and what your guidelines are, so that everybody's not running in chaos, and so everybody kind of knows the same thing and kind of believes the same way. And they're even within the churches that are non-denominational and interdenominational, even within those things, with the freedoms that they believe and the freedoms they have, they still have structure. They still have guidelines. And so, I think people crave structure. I think people crave guidelines. And even in society, we say that we don't want law enforcement, we don't want rules, we don't want government, but we wouldn't last very long if we didn't.
All right, your office now has been approved by the commissioners to
Right.
add some more staff.
Right.
I understand that's well needed
It is.
staff.
We added, the commissioners was gracious enough to give us another investigator position and 2 more patrol officer positions. And we have 2 in training right now that should be coming out of training soon. And whenever they come out, we'll put 2 more in training to fill those 2 new positions that we've got. We've already hired an investigator to fill that investigator position. And so we're looking forward to some great things happening the next little bit. And because of the changes that we're doing and adding these extra positions and moving people around, I talked to the investigative lieutenant this morning, and he's already told me that he's seeing noticeable changes and decreases in breaking and enterings since we've made a few changes there at the sheriff's office. So it got to back in April and March and April and those months, we were seeing an average of around 20 to 25 breaking and enterings a month. It got all the way up till September and October. We were averaging around 40 to 45 breaking and enterings a month.
Oh, wow, that's more than I would have imagined.
Yeah, that's a little over one a day, 1 point some number a day. And so we were getting way up there on the breaking and enterings. So we made some modifications, we made some changes, we're adding these extra officers. And when I talked to the investigative lieutenant this morning, he said he'd run his statistics and saw where we're already on a decrease. Things are already coming back down. Of course, it's a combination of putting people in jail and solving some of this stuff has really helped. And so hopefully we're on a good trend. And we thank the commission board, and we thank the county manager and finance officer and all the people that helped us try to facilitate this and get these officers on the road. The fact of the matter is, and the commissioners agree, and we all understand this, is we could add 15 more deputies now. I mean, we could put more people out there now and do more preventative stuff. But unfortunately, everything comes back to a cost-benefit ratio,
Right.
and it comes back to how much the county's willing to spend, and it comes back to how much we're really wanting to add to our budget and all those kind of things. But as you probably read in the paper, we were able to cut the budget this past year from $5.6 million down to $4.8 million, and saved a lot of money right there. And even on the sheriff's side alone, we were able to trim off about $350,000, $355,000, I think is what it was, that we trimmed off the sheriff's side. And detention side, we trimmed off about $300,000 off detention side. So with those changes that we've made there, that's enabled us to take some of that money that we've trimmed off and turn it back into patrol help and turn it back into cars and other things that we've got going on. So it's just a conscious effort that we're trying to be respectful and mindful of the money that we have and what the county has lended to us to use for the protection of the county. And the thing that I'll always try to remind our command staff at the sheriff's office is that when it comes to budgets and monies and things, it's not my money to spend. It's not the sheriff's office money to spend. It's the county money. And so we try to do a lot of that with drug asset forfeiture money, a lot of other revenue line items and stuff that comes in. We try to utilize that money the best we can, so we cut that taxpayer expense down. So we're not using taxpayer money for a lot of this stuff.
How many people are currently employed at the sheriff's office?
Right now, I think I checked the other day, I think we have, if I'm not mistaken, I think we have like 57 right now.
57?
That's full-time. We have some other part-time help, and we have people that come in and out for different things. I think that's what it is. Now, don't hold me to that. I may come back next week and say, hey, I was totally way off base on that. One thing to tell the people out there, just so you understand, is that I was sharing with Tim this morning that I have a residual kidney stone, and I've been battling that. So there's at times when Tim will ask me a question, my mind's kind of off somewhere else. So it's but to the best of my knowledge, we have somewhere there around 60.
It's a pretty large
It
that
is.
that involves dispatch,
Right.
The patrol unit, investigation,
Detention center,
administrative
people, and all that. So evidence collection, and all those kind of things. So courthouse personnel. We've got Tri-County resource officers at Tri-County. So we have people spread out in different places, and that's one of the things that it's hard to explain to people when we talk about resources and needs, because with the sheriff's office, when you think about the sheriff's office, you think about a uniformed patrol officer and patrol car, and a lot of people don't think about all the administrative responsibilities and all the things that come with that, as far as putting files together and the retention of evidence and keeping track of all that kind of stuff, civil process. Gun permits, purchase permits, sex offender registries. I mean, we got just a lot of different things that we're trying to maintain and do through the sheriff's office. And then when you add things like dealing with the courthouse and courthouse security, and you deal with detention center and the inmates, when you deal not just with the inmates of housing them, but you've got medical care and medical needs, you've got food needs, you've got all kind of different things that goes along with those transportation needs. Back and forth to different places, and I mean, there are just tons of things that we have to deal with that the general public doesn't think about when they think about the sheriff's office.
It's a big operation.
It's a huge
really
operation.
It's a lot to juggle.
It's a huge operation, and one of the things that that we try to make sure people understand, even our own employees don't understand it sometimes, is that the sheriff's office is different than any other law enforcement agency that's out there. It's different than Highway Patrol. It's different than Wildlife. It's different than City Police. It's different than SBI or FBI or anything that's out there. It's a unique creature that flows and moves and evolves, and so with all the responsibilities and duties that we do, it's something that you have to really be vigilant about and stay on top of, or if not, it'll swallow you up and spit you out. So we have to be aware of everything that's going on around us and be on top of all these things that's going on.
All right. Well, we're getting close to the end of the program. What else would you like to talk about today?
That's basically it. I just want to let people know that even though that crime has grown a lot, and well, I say crime, I won't necessarily say crime. I'll say calls for service has grown a lot in the last few months. We are doing a better job of tracking things. We're doing a better job of getting reports written and being accountable and documenting things through the sheriff's office. And so we're trying to get it to a place to where when the community has a question or people ask a question, what are you doing here? How many calls you got there? What's happening here? That we have those numbers and those statistics on our fingertips so that we can let people know what we're doing. And I know the word transparent has been used to death, and it's been used so much, especially in the TV media, that people's tired of hearing transparency. But I do want people to understand and know that if you have any questions about the operation of the sheriff's office, or what we're spending money on, or what we're doing, or why we're doing it, you're not going to hurt my feelings by calling and asking a question. You're not going to hurt my feelings by saying, I don't understand this. Can you explain it to me? So we want to be open with people and with the public, because we answer directly to the public. And that's one of the reasons the sheriff's office is different than everybody else. The SBI, the ALE, the Highway Patrol, they answer to the governor of North Carolina. City police, town police, they answer to the mayors, that's over them. The sheriff and the sheriff's office answers directly to the people. And people ask me who my boss is. You are my boss. The taxpayers of Cherokee County is my boss, and we answer directly to the citizens. And so we want the citizens to understand and know that you have a right to ask. You have a right to know what's going on. And so if you want to come and don't understand something or want to question anything, feel free to pick up the phone and call me, or drop by the sheriff's office and leave a question, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you with the answer.
Very good. All right. Sheriff, thanks for
Thank
being
you.
with us again. This is WKRK in Murphy, North Carolina. We're approaching 11:30. Temperature right now in downtown is 58 degrees.